Hi, hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Ev and I like to talk about all things knitting. I just got back from Montreal like a couple days ago now, and I just wanted to show everything that I was able to pick up there and what I knit on, and kind of just do a little bit of a catch up before Fiber West next weekend. Going back home was lovely as always. I didn't go back last year because my family came here instead to visit me, and then I went to Italy, London, and Turkey. So last year was a very big travel year, and I didn't have time to go back. And then going back to Quebec City has been even longer. That's where the majority of my family is. We were just there for 2 days, was very family orientated. I went with my brother, my sister, and my parents joined us a little bit later. But yeah, we just basically saw my grandmas, my aunt, uncle, cousins, and whatnot, and basically had to be back. We left on Thursday and had to be back Saturday because my sister had a birthday party and Alper was flying in from here to meet us for the rest of the week in Montreal. So the Quebec City portion was very small and quick, but it was great to see everybody, and I just didn't do much knitting there or didn't have time to shop for anything. However, in Montreal, I did have a couple more days. I did do a little bit of yarn shopping and knitting in coffee shops, so that is what I'm going to share with you guys right now because I got some acquisitions. So in Montreal, I did most of my yarn shopping on the plateau because that is where my friends had an Airbnb that we were meeting up with. She is also a knitter, and last time I had gone to Montreal for Christmas, I went to Espace Tricot, which is also downtown Montreal, but isn't like around there. So I ended up going to 3 different yarn shops on the plateau, and I know that there were 4, I think. But we never made it to the 4th one the last day. It's just I also didn't have room in my suitcase. So the first one we went to was La Maison Tricotee. And I knew that I wanted to get some Montreal yarn or yarns that were local to Montreal. So the first ones that I went with were laine peche mignon. C'est magnifique laine teinte à la main. It's beautiful yarns hand dyed. Now these labels are all in French. So it's 65% merino, 20% silk, and 15% yak. I was very interested in that. I feel like lately I keep finding yak fibers and yak wools, or the Melly knit spat that I got was yak, and I've still yet to spin it. But I'm really interested to see how this knits up. I love this blue so much. It's such like a deep kind of mossy blue. I don't know. I just really like it. I'm just gonna take the label off because it's like papery and a little bit annoying, but with this beautiful, look at this, it's so beautiful. With this beautiful shade, I immediately thought a tee would be perfect for this. So I have 2 of them, which comes up to about 800 meters. And I immediately thought of a pattern by Irene Lin for this yarn. And the one that I wanted to knit up is the Lyra tee. And the Lyra tee takes about 770 yards, the smallest, to 2,300 yards, the largest size. I have definitely enough yarn for the extra small and the small pattern, so I think that the cards are aligning, and this blue would be so stunning in a t-shirt. So that is most likely what I'm going to be doing with this yarn, and the Lyra tee has just been on my list ever since it came out. I just didn't have the right fingering weight yarn for it, and now I do. So I'm very excited. So that's most likely going to be casted on in the spring. And then I got a little bit carried away. I know when I did my stash busting video, I said that I wouldn't be buying any more sock yarn because I don't tend to knit that many socks, but this was very intriguing. I had never seen this before. I got Alpaca Luxury sock. Look at this. I've never seen a sock yarn like this. It is 62% virgin wool, 23% polyamide, and 15% alpaca. I feel like if I was to knit this, it would be the softest socks ever. There's like a nice glow to it, a nice little halo. So this is 310 meters, the ball. And then I saw this one, which is also a sock yarn. Now this is the Laines Alpaca Soft, which is the same idea. It is 390 meters, the skein, and this one is Laines Alpaca Soxx 4-ply easy wash. So I'm assuming that it means that it can go in the washer, easy wash. This one is 70% alpaca and 30% polyamide. So this one already feels a lot more drapey, and it does feel a lot heavier than this one. But you can kind of tell maybe it's like a lot more floppy, and I'm assuming that's because of the alpaca, but I don't know. I'm really interested. Maybe I can knit them together, do some color work or color contrasting socks. I don't know. These colors also really look nice together. But anyways, I went against what I had said in my yarn sorting video, and I got some more sock yarn. I just was really inspired by these two colors, but also really intrigued by sock yarn being sold as like individual skeins. Now this doesn't have a tag or a name, but it is locally handmade and sewn. But it is one of these kind of like little pouches for your DPNs. So when you knit a sock and you want to put your DPNs away in your bag without like your project sliding off or whatnot, you put the needles in here and you can just have the sock kind of like shape out here. I don't have a project right now to show you guys, but then there's like little clasps and it keeps your needles intact in your project. So I thought that this was really cute, and I like that it was like locally made. So I got one of these. And then for $1, they were selling these next to the cash. I picked up one of these little Eat Sleep Knit. I thought that it would be a super cute little pendant to attach either to a knit or to a bag, a project bag or something. I'm not entirely sure where I'm going to put it just yet, but it's a little keepsake, a little memory. So that was the first yarn shop. And then for the second day, we went to Les Biscotte. Now, I had never knit with Biscotte yarns, but they're known for their hand-dyed, beautiful, stunning colors. I ended up picking PatricKnits yarn. So I picked up this beautiful yellow. I saw this and I really wanted to pick up some Biscotte yarn, but I don't know, this yellow just kept calling at me, and I just love the like how it's not a constant yellow. There's like parts that are a little bit more bright, but it's still a very banana yellow. I really like it. So this is MERICA by PatricKnits. It is 100% American Rambouillet merino wool. However, the thing that I fell in love with for this yarn is the color, and that is hand dyed in Montreal. So I thought that that was really cool. It is 450 yards, the skein. It is 100 grams, the skein, and this yarn is, let me see. Oh, I said it already. Why am I searching? It's 100% American Rambouillet wool. So look how banana this is. I love it. I love it. I feel like I say I love it way too many times. Now for this one, I have two potential candidates, and I'm going to have to knit swatches and see, because this could potentially be a colorwork sweater. So the two sweaters are, one of them is the Josefine Sweater by Solvara Knitwear, and that is the sweater with the cute little daisies. I feel like if I was to do the sweater in yellow, the daisies in white, and then kind of more like a creme or like a brown for the center of the flower, maybe like this, that would actually be really, really cute. So I'm contemplating turning this into a little flowery sweater so that I can then do the Diana sweater, the Princess Diana sweater in red, and not have two bright red sweaters, because I feel like those are going to be very similar because it's like color work red and white. So if I do a fun yellow, that could be beautiful. And then for this one, I'm also contemplating doing the jean sweater by Johanna Gehrisch. And I think that this would be replacement for the red, and instead of the pink, I might do like a little bit of a white or an off cream, maybe an eggshell. I think that that would be beautiful and stunning and perfectly great for spring. And it would make it a little bit more subtle, I feel like, of a knit, of a color palette at least. The only thing I do worry about that is because this is such a banana yellow, if I hold it with a white, I just wouldn't want it to look like a baby knit, like a cute little sweater because it's frilly, it has texture, it already looks very innocent and girly and cute. If I do yellow and white, is that going to make it look too much like a baby? But yeah, I might end up knitting 2 swatches, one for the daisy sweater and one for the jean sweater, and then just figure out this yellow, which one it would work best in. In either of those scenarios, I do need to get the accent color to go with it. So I don't have that right now. So that was the only yarn that I picked up from Laines Biscotte, but I did get at least one Biscotte teinte à la main. Now I know Fiber West is literally in a week and I'm going to be picking up a bunch of braids, so that's why I only got one. But because I didn't get a Biscotte yarn, like an actual skein from the Biscotte brand, I really wanted to try their Roving. And this is MERICA top. It is 100% merino rambouillet, and it is made in Canada, but I actually really liked the purple in here and the orange. I thought that it was really pretty, and I also thought that it was really interesting to kind of have it with a gray. I'm really curious to see what this will look like spun up. It's just 100 grams, so it's not too much. However, if I spin this, hold it with something else, or just spin it single as is, could be really interesting. And we'll see what I end up picking from Fiber West. Maybe I could get something around the same color palettes and maybe merge those two, like spin them individually but ply them together, or figure out something with that. But I'm really glad I was able to get at least one thing from Biscotte, the store itself. I also got this little tag from Biscotte. Now this was just, I think, like 50 cents or $1, but I thought that it would be really cute, like with the Eat Sleep knit. I could then attach this to my knit and have the tag on the inside. It's just one of those that you fold and sew. And yeah, a cute little keepsake memory. I also picked up a couple stitch markers because recently, I don't know what it is, but I keep losing all my stitch markers. So I got some cute little fall themed stitch markers, some little nuts and pine cones and leaves. So, and I think it's 5 stitch markers and 1 progress keeper. The progress keeper is like this little pine cone bead, and then the stitch markers are all in the same theme, but just like, yeah, pine cones, and just, I really like this orange and brass look, so got some stitch markers. Now finally, for the last day, we went to Les Garcons, and they were ever so kind to give me a bag with my order. And to my surprise, on the skein that I picked up, they actually attached, I don't know if this was actually on there, but I didn't notice it in the store. I don't know if they do this with all their purchases, but I didn't see this on the skein before I bought it. But they actually attached a cute little Les Garcons tag on one of the skeins, and I thought that that was super cute. So like with the other stores, I now have a little keepsake, a little tag for all my knits, and when I finish the projects, I will be attaching this with, like, I will be attaching these keepsakes with that project. So the yarn that I got is a British 4-ply. It is 70% BFL wool, 30% Masham wool. I'm not really sure what a Masham is. I guess this is sheep. It is 437 yards, 400 meters, the skein. I got 3 of these, and I got it in this stunning purple. This purple, I'm not a purple girl, but this one, I think it's because it's like a smoky, kind of washed out purple. I love it. And this is the type of purple that I go for. It's also kind of like lavender. Now that I'm looking at it in the camera, it's like more of like a lavender soft purple. I really, really like it. And this yarn is really soft for a wool only yarn. It definitely isn't like a scratchy or itchy yarn. So I'm really excited to pick out a project for this one. I kind of have an idea. I noticed when I got home, all of these are fingering weight yarns, and I think it was in my yarn stash update video or my yarn cleanup video, I did mention I buy a lot of fingering weight yarns. For some reason, I always get fingering yarn. It's just, I really like the look of it. It takes longer to knit up than like a traditional DK. I don't know, in a yarn shop, I'm like, ooh, fingering, it just looks, there's just something about the way it looks, and I actually like knitting with it. So this could potentially be the jean sweater, and instead of the red or the yellow, I could swap it out with this purple, or then do like a much lighter purple. That would be actually really nice. Or I could knit from other loops the tied loop tee, which would also be really stunning. That one is kind of like waves and has a lot of pearl texture and knits, and it's just very oversized and loose. And I feel like this color in that kind of tidal wave, I would need to knit a swatch to see if the yarn itself is already too textured for it. Because it is a 4-ply, you really do see the like texture. But this could actually be really nice in an oversized tee. I have 1200 plus meters right here, and the pattern calls for 1148 to 1722 yards, which is 1050 meters to 1575 meters. So again, I have more than enough for my size for the tee. So I am really glad that at the end of the day, this is basically my yarn haul from Montreal. I didn't go too much over budget or buy too many things. I kind of have a plan for all of these and knew exactly what I was going to be knitting with them, except for these two. These two kind of just surprised me, and I just got a little carried away. And usually it's like a lot more carried away, but I'm glad it was just with these two. And also these were on sale. They were, I think, 16 or 15% off. So the fact that I had never seen sock yarns like this, but then at the same time they were in the sale section, it was hard to say no. Now, as for the knitting side of things, for some weird reason, every time I plan a trip to somewhere, I'm always convincing myself I'm gonna have like 20 hours to knit. And in reality, traveling is like you get maybe 2-3 hours in a day to knit, and then the rest of the time you're with family and friends, you know? So like, I don't know why I'm always telling myself I'm gonna have all these hours when in reality I just don't. There were 3 main projects that I worked on this trip, and one of them that I casted on that I'm very excited to show you guys is my Travler cowl. I'm still working on it, but this is how far I got. And it's really interesting because you start off at this point here and you work up back and forth doing like kind of a rib design. So it's just knits and purl rows. But I love the fact that because I'm using hand spun yarn and I don't really know how I did this, every bump is like a different color. So it's really interesting to see it work up this way. The yarn that I'm using, this is how much I have left. I'm gonna have to cake up my second skein. I have 3 skeins in total, which will most likely be too much yarn for this little cowl. But anyways, I'll figure out something to do with the leftover yarn. So this is a pattern by Andrea Mowry. She does have the Travler shawl. Now this is the cowl. There's the Travler shawl, sweater, hat. Is there anything else? I feel like there's another one. I might be forgetting something. Now I'm doing the version that doesn't follow the pattern. I'm following knit till you reach this measurement because my yarn is a little bit thinner than the pattern recommended. I think it's asking for a DK weight yarn, and this is a fingering sportish weight yarn. So instead of following the amount of rows, she does give you the instructions for the exact size and dimensions to knit to. So that's kind of what I'm doing. So we're going to see how that works out in the end and how much yarn that actually uses up in the end, which is a good experience and a good practice for the shawl, which is a much bigger version, like a much bigger knit. Now the second knit that I got pretty far on this trip is my Dagmar. So this is my Dagmar zipper sweater that I'm working up alongside with Morgan from Morgan Unravel. If you guys haven't checked her out, I highly recommend you do. As always, I'm going to be linking her in the bottom description. And yeah, we're just knitting this together, having a lot of fun. And funny enough, we both kind of put our knits on hold to knit some gift knits. Before my trip to Montreal, stopped knitting on this one to work up the shawl for my grandma, the scar and shawl. If you guys haven't checked out that video, I highly recommend you do. And she also put hers on hold to knit a gift knit for someone. So the sweater is just taking a little bit longer on my side and on her side, but at least we're doing the same thing at the same time, kind of, which is really funny. But yeah, so I basically finished the entire body on my trip, and I actually did the rib at the bottom, and I did an Italian bind off. Now, I know that I had said I wouldn't finish the body and I would keep it on the needles and work up the collar and just see if I wanted to make the body longer or shorter before finishing the body, like, because for me, I find it a lot easier to see how a knit is gonna fit and look like when you have a collar compared to trying it on without. It's just really hard to gauge what the final look is gonna be. But because I was working this up on the plane on the ride back, it was 5 hours back, I didn't want to break the yarn and put it on hold on the plane. I just kept on knitting, and then I just did the whole bottom and did the Italian bind off, and that was that. It was just a lot easier for me to keep knitting and working on this instead of figuring out how many stitches to pick up in a cramped plane. And finally, the last knit that I cast on, knit, and finished all in this trip and had the rest of my attention for the entire time I was in Montreal is this super cute knit. So I originally filmed this with the idea to kind of make this like its own video and its own travel vlog, but I don't know, it just didn't end up happening and didn't work out as I had originally intended. So here's the footage of me knitting it, and yeah. It's a little bit unusual, but let's watch it. Hello, I am actually at the airport on my way to Montreal. I'm gonna go visit some family and see some friends. And I just thought, as always, with me to take a little bit of a knit to knit on the plane because I have 4 hours to kill. So Friday Knits just came out with a little cat hat beanie, and I thought, you know what, it's a small project, should be a perfect knit to knit on a plane. So I casted it on and I'm knitting it. Now, I don't have a cat, but my mom and my sister do, so I think since I'm gonna be seeing them, making one little cat beanie should be better than, I don't know, should be a cute little fun gift. Now, I have no idea if cats will actually wear hats or if I can do this in a plane ride. So, yeah. I started off by casting on the required stitches. You start the hat kind of by the rib at the bottom and then work your way up and then do some decreases. The hat was pretty straightforward and the pattern was really well written. I ended up knitting the second size because I had no idea how big my mom or my sister's cat's head actually was. I had asked my sister and she was unable to measure the head. So here we go, just hoping that this hat would fit. I think it did fit, it just ended up being a little bit small, but it's okay. The flight was actually super smooth and didn't have any turbulence, or most people were just sleeping and it was very quiet, so I just watched my TV show and just kept on knitting. What was kind of funny is if you do work this pattern, as you work it up, it starts to look like a little pair of upside down underwear. But I guess that's just the hat design because of the ears right there. You kind of get little holes. So these could make cute little doll pants or underwears as well. See? Underwear. I was able to finish the I-cords on the plane and the beanie, but I didn't get time to sew in everything, weave in my ends, and attach them. But also at my parents' place, I didn't have any wool wash or any soap that night, and I just basically soaked it in water in a little mug and just wanted to block it out. I don't think it really mattered too much. Here's my perfect little model, Zara, my mom's cat. Look at her. Honestly, I don't think she cared at all about the hat, but she looked really cute. Ugh, so sleepy.